You mentioned a client that you kind of were helping detach with the scale and reattach with their habits. So tell us about this person.
So this is a client that really benefited from the concept, which is really what I want to highlight. The concept of weighing your habits, not the scale. So instead of weighing your body, weighing your habits. A lot of times what we try and help people focus on, because lifestyle is a perpetual thing. It's an infinite game. Yes, you want to lose the quick 10 pounds and you want to do it in 10 weeks. Great. But then what? You want to stay healthier, which means the things you did to get there need to stay so you can stay there. So our job isn't to get people to lose weight. It's to help people live like the healthier version of themselves. And if they're living like the healthier versions of themselves, a lot of people will lose some body fat. A lot of people will put on some muscle. It becomes a muscle up, fat down equation that, yes, on the scale over time, over a long enough time horizon, will create net weight loss. But to say that the goal is weight loss is to really misunderstand the game that's being played. And to constantly weigh yourself is an approval-seeking mechanism. Yes. Did I do good? It's a way to get a sticker.
Yeah. And eventually, let's say you hit that goal. Where's the approval now?
Where's the sticker? Say you were 400 pounds and now you're at a healthy body weight at 240 pounds for you. That 160 pounds where you were just collecting stickers based on progress, you now need to convert that dopamine high in your brain to something as boring as maintaining. So if you didn't become attached to the things that got you there, you can't celebrate the reason you're staying there. And so it's chess. We're playing a game of chess with people, and weight loss and scale staring is a game of checkers, but it's also more rooted in that need for instant gratification. It's the, did I do good? Did I do good? Did I do good? The other problem with it is that's assuming that the scale is an accurate way to reflect your effort, knowing that, let's just say someone has 40% body fat, which is high for really anyone. We'd want to see the body composition change in that example. That means they're 60% not fat. And that 60% is going to have 60% of the scale fluctuation. So even if that person is losing body fat, they're water up, water down, glycogen stores in the muscle, water retention based on a female's infradian rhythm or a man's circadian rhythm with sleep and stress and digestive scenarios. Did you have a higher protein meal that digested slower? There are so many things that change the scale on a day-to-day basis. The average person's weight is not a set number. It's a 3 to 5 pound range from fed to dehydrated. And so we have to recognize that if you are living like the healthier you, and we know that those habits are going to create a lighter, leaner you over time, even in that perfect reality where your inputs are flawless, the scale is not going to go down in a linear fashion. It's going to be a scatter plot at best that over a 4-week span may not show a great trend line. Over an 8-week span will start to show a trend line. Over a 6-month span will show a dominant trend line. So when people say they lost a pound a week, they didn't mean that every week they stepped on the scale and lost a pound. They mean 6 months later, they're down 25 pounds. And that is a very bumpy journey. And so if you don't understand those things, you're setting yourself up to be disappointed. But more importantly, even if you do understand those things, why the hell would you let yourself get distracted and subjected to that? And the answer is an attempt at accountability. Weighing in weekly is an accountability measure. That's really what it's trying to do. And I understand that. Wanting to feel connected over a time horizon. Every week, I'm going to weigh in and see how I did. Well, here's the funny part. There's a way better way to weigh in and see how you did, which is on Saturday morning when you would go to step on the scale to get your sticker for the week, or see that you're up 1.2 pounds because you went out the night before and had some food with friends. And even though you lost body fat, the scale doesn't show it. And now you feel defeated and demoralized and you spend your weekend all pissed off.
And then you quit.
I hope you can hear that spiral makes no damn sense, right? What if you sat down and journaled and reflected on the effectiveness of your inputs? How well did you move this week? How well did you take care of you? How well did you prepare your foods? How well did you plan your foods? How well did you manage your social things? How well did you enjoy your social things? If you took that time and actually reflected on your inputs, 2 things take place. 1, you would have a good feel as to whether or not it was a successful week.
Yeah.
So we'd have a pretty good predictive answer of the question, did I live in a way that changed my body? We'd be able to answer that question fairly confidently. But more importantly, we would also have the answer to the question, what do I do to make it better? When you step on the scale and it didn't do what you wanted, It could be as simple as, oh, you should have weighed another day because you're 3 days before your period. That's useless information. Meanwhile, you're dropping your calories by 200 and adding 2,000 steps a day. So you're manipulating lifestyle things that have nothing to do with why the scale changed. Where if we're reflecting going, this week I was kind of shooting from the hip all week because I got home from a trip on Monday night. I didn't get groceries until Wednesday and I didn't have time to cook. And so I really ate out and kind of grabbed what I could. This week, I'm going to use this weekend to reset. I'm going to fridge scape and get my fridge back to where I need it to be. Oh, and also when I go out to eat, I usually am aware I'm going out ahead of time. So I need to start thinking about that and planning that. So instead of just showing up and saying what sounds good, I'm going to think about it as a part of my day instead of just some spontaneous thing. So journaling reveals your path forward. Oh, I didn't make enough time for movement this week. I want to get up, but I keep not getting up. And then you get to sit and talk to your dietitian and reflect, okay, I want to work out first thing in the morning, but I keep hitting snooze instead. And we go, okay, well, your morning routine is likely tied to an evening routine. So if your evening routine is out of whack, your morning routine is going to be out of whack. So then we get to troubleshoot the bookends and figure out what we could do to better set you up to increase the likelihood that you exercise. We may be able to reset expectations where it's, oh, I need to do it every day. And frankly, your brain just isn't ready to accept the demand of 4 a.m. 5 days a week. And so we start with 4 a.m. 2 days a week and an evening walk, right? Like there's ways to troubleshoot how to get better, but how to get better is only clear if you're aware of what you're doing in the first place.
Exactly.
So I did this with a client. I've done this with a lot of clients, I'll be honest, but what triggered this was a client that did this recently with me, where they finally agreed with me, because I've been beating them to death with inputs over outcomes. And every time the scale doesn't do what they want, I'm posing that maybe the scale isn't the best measure of their success because they're trending and their body is doing the thing, but they're too zoomed in. And
they always feel like a failure. I've seen many folks like this.
Yes, it sounds relatable, right? It's almost like this has happened thousands of times in our careers collectively. And so I finally had someone recently who, after literally a year of having this conversation, noting that over that year they've lost weight. So it's not like they've made no progress. They've been progressing. But to your point, they can't feel it or see it, and it's not fast enough because they're staring at the outcome, not the inputs. And when I look at them, I start hearing, this is the other trigger for it. I feel like I'm wasting your time. I bet like I'm your toughest client. They start to have that type of internal story. People don't realize that our job isn't a weight loss coach that expects people to come in, hold their breath, and drop a bunch of weight to make us feel successful. Our role is to challenge people to live like the healthier them, and then walk them through and work them through the nuances of what that means. Navigating relationships, navigating relationship with self, navigating their environment, like changing their relationship with food. This shit takes years. It just does. And so after a year of making progress but not seeing it because they're coming from an outcome-based lens, and when you come from an outcome-based lens, you're always insatiable. It's never enough. It's never fast enough. It's never good enough.
Race to the bottom.
Versus being in an input-based lens. And what's hilarious is anyone that knows me personally typically thinks of me as a successful person. And I will say that the reason is because I'm not an outcome-focused person. I'm an input-focused person. Every day, I don't stare at my finish line. Every day, I stare at the foot that's in front of me. What can I do to get better? What can I do to get better? What can I do to get better? And over a long enough time horizon, that's a checkmate game. I will win.
The outputs speak for themselves. You don't have to be tracking them.
They're a lag time indicator. They will happen. It's inevitable. But people are so rooted in that fear and they want the guarantee that they're missing the point of the game, which is the guarantee isn't the scale going down. The guarantee is you feeling better day over day over day over day. Live that way 100 days, you're going to feel 100 days better. And so if we can orient people towards inputs instead of outcomes, we make them literally invincible and they will be successful. And my most successful clients, whether it's in actual patient population, whether it's in those that I mentor professionally, or whether it's like in people that I mentor as a business or life person, all of my most successful people, this is the core thing I've helped them achieve. I'll pose it. I'll lead the horse to water, but they choose to drink, which is to say, hey, instead of obsessing over the outcome day in and day out, I'm going to get obsessed with my inputs. I'm going to commit to learning to navigate my environment, figure out a way to move my body in a meaningful way with consistency. I'm going to troubleshoot that. And then I'm going to figure out a way to fuel and nourish my body in a meaningful way, given all of my circumstances and obstacles. I'm going to identify the obstacles and I'm going to adapt and troubleshoot until I find things that fit. And over time, these habits are going to be me living like the healthier, happier me. And that is going to show up physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Yeah. And so my challenge is to say, I had a client recently that after a year of nudging, they finally took the leap with me. This was actually 2 months ago now, because I've been deferring this post for a little while. 2 months ago, had their first month where they did weekly subjective journal weigh-ins, right? So they weighed their habits instead of their body. And the smile on their face in the first session, a month after they did it, we sat down and they weren't upset, frustrated, pissed off. They didn't have any sort of negative. There was no urgency. There was no, it should be faster, or I don't think I'm making it. There was no negative, there was none of that. Instead, it was, they could clearly see the progress they were making week over week in terms of getting better at their habits. They all of a sudden, this is one of my favorite things, they drove the conversation. Wow. So instead of them coming into session and saying, I don't understand what's happening, it's not working. And then I'm like, well, no, it is. It's just not working as fast as you'd like because you're too busy staring at the finish line. And that's creating urgency in you that's not rooted in reality. Like as you know, I'm a very loving and caring person, but I'm blunt AF. Like, I'm going to say the thing. Like, that's just how it is. And love it or hate it, I'm going to say the thing.
I know this.
So it's to say, instead of that energy, they came in and they were driving the conversation, which was, yeah, I noticed in the first week, I wasn't able to get as many workouts in. The kids had just gotten out of school, blah, 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 blah. But I was able to adjust my routine. So I was able to get my workouts in the evening a couple days instead of the morning because of shifts in schedule. And I'm hearing this person tell me how they're living to protect themselves. Guess who just won the game? They did. Yeah. That's the game. And so it was so cool. It was one of those moments where I watched this person who had been in this vicious circle, victim spiral about, I've only lost X pounds in a period of time, and I'm nudging them and holding space for them, which is the side note, my favorite part of our job. Like, most people don't recognize that that's actually what we do, is we hold space for people to shift their mindset to the correct mindset. And it can take a year or two. Like, that's not a slow journey. That's not a fast journey. It's a slow journey. But to watch them sit down after the first month of weighing their interventions or their habits and reflecting and watching them like a freaking Roomba self-clean and self-manicure, bouncing back, being more resilient, figuring out, oh, I better get to the grocery store on this day, making the adjustments, time managing. All of a sudden, I watched this person and I just looked at him. I went, congrats on driving.
Yeah,
like that
they're
entire
owning their
follow-up.
time and their habits.
It was so cool to see.
That's so cool.
So it lit me up, and I journaled it that day as like, oh, I need to post about this and rave. And then I kept pushing it. And like I said, it's because this was worthy of a 10-minute segment, not a 30-second shout out.
I love that. It's a great example of like, it's, so I think why we get into this is like, we love the mindset element of things because it's so widely applicable, like looking at lead measures versus lag measures. You should look at both. But the frequency with which you look at both is different. And
the meaning you assign them.
Exactly.
And what you do with that information. It's no different than the carb craze thing. Yeah. Right? Like, is it interesting? Yes. Is it true from a metabolic perspective? Yes. But how is it relevant? Like, now what? What are you going to do about it? Totally. You start to realize where if you're only staring at the outcomes, I didn't get the thing. Now what? Yeah. Are you going to give up because you didn't get the thing? Are you going to do the same thing over again and hope to get the same result, which a very intelligent person said was insanity a long, long time ago? Are you going to change the things you're doing to see if you can get the thing? And so now you go, oh, I should change what I'm doing to see if I can get the thing. Yeah. And then you go, okay, how should you change what you're doing? Going back to what we were saying before, in this instance, what if the reason that you're not getting the thing is because the thing you're looking for isn't measured by what you're doing? The scale in this case, right? The scale didn't go down. I need to change something. And it's like, that could be that you need to change your eating and moving. Yeah. That could also be that you need to not weigh yourself 3 days before your menstrual cycle. Yeah. That
would be like a business completely altering their marketing strategy on a week by week basis based on results, right? Like, it's you need to give it more time.
Yeah. We post one video and it doesn't go viral and we go, well, we've got to completely gut this campaign. Shit takes time.
Yeah.
And so it's funny because when you realize if you're going to be outcome focused and the outcomes are not coming, you then have to enter the phase of diagnosing, which means you need to reflect on the inputs to change the outcome. But if you haven't been reflecting on the inputs, then you're not actually going to know how to change it. So if instead, what if, crazy idea, your game was just reflecting on the inputs?
Wow.
That's the game. Now you're just, every week you have divine clarity of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then we can have a conversation about objectively, what is that doing for you? And subjectively, what is that doing for you? And then how is it fitting? How does it need to sway given your life and your chaos and your flavor of vigor, right? Like there's so many things around it that we can investigate the nuance, but even if you're going to stare at the outcome, understanding the inputs is the only way to change the outcome. So it's like, it's not a choice. You have to do it. You can either choose to do it reactively and from a place of emotion, or you can choose to do it proactively from a place of clarity. One of them is guaranteed to outpace the other. Enough said, full stop. Like that's it. Mic drop.
It's, I love that story. I love that story because I think I'm just going to paint a wide brush really quick and say, I think it's so important with anyone we're working with, that they have a way of tracking their inputs. And I have told all of my clients that, and I frankly don't care how they do it. Some of my clients are like my MyFitnessPal junkies, and they like love tracking their calories. They want to make sure they hit their calories and protein and fiber. And I'm like, fantastic. If that is what you want to look at, fantastic. And that might only work for a season of life, but like nonetheless, it is a way to track inputs rather than outputs. And then it could be as simple as just writing an X on your calendar, your paper calendar, every time you exercise or hit a certain number of steps or whatever it is that is your goal. Like, I think a lot of my clients can sometimes be initially like anti-tracking things because they associate tracking with, I have to track every single thing that I eat and all the calories and things like that. And it's like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about finding a way, whatever way works for you, of tracking your inputs. I think it is so crucial because how can you determine whether or not you are entitled to the outcomes you're seeking if you have no way of tracking the effort you're putting into it?
Yes, that's perfectly said. You start to realize tracking is an awareness campaign. And if you're trying to better understand your behaviors so that you can better understand how they're affecting you, some type of awareness campaign is necessary. And whether it's a caloric awareness campaign, that's useful if becoming aware of energy is the goal of the campaign, right? If you're having more of a time management problem, it may be more of like a captain's log. Day of the week, time of day, what's happening, right? It may be some sort of journaling activity. One of my favorite ones is my Lifestyle 180 that I built, which is you pick the 6 things in life that you want to do every day. It can be reading 10 pages of a book. It can be walking your dog. It can be drinking a certain amount of fluid or prioritizing protein and produce at every meal. You'd pick 6 things and then you give yourself a check mark for each one. 6 things times 30 days is 180 actions that you did in the name of self-care. And that is the Lifestyle 180. These are all the same concept. They're an awareness campaign that's meant to help you focus on something. If you're focusing on it just to focus on it and you're not learning from it, then it's a waste of your time. So if the person that comes into my office and is like, I've tracked 1,000 days and I can tell you nothing about it. It's like, well, that is a unnecessary habit. Now, can we connect that to something and make it useful? Potentially. Or we may find that there's a better way to track. So I'm all for, to your point, awareness campaigns, especially if they're perceived, if they're coming from a place of curiosity. That's the people that tracking creates massive anxiety and is triggering them. That doesn't mean eventually there isn't an awareness campaign they should be a part of, but their initial awareness campaign should be why they're so triggered by it. So that's where we need to dig into the psychology there alongside a professional in that world to go, okay, why is this being perceived as pressure? Why is there fear of this? Or why are you triggered by this? What are the stories and narratives that are associated with this? Like, that is its own awareness campaign. That same person 2 years later may be able to revisit the idea of awareness of habits coming from a place of curiosity, not criticism. And that's, we did an episode on it called Evolution of Awareness in season 1. And that's what this was rooted in, is it is not bad to be aware of self, but you need to understand what you're looking for, what you want to learn, and why you want to be aware of it, and then move forward.
Totally. And I think it's only fair to the coach, the dietitian that's trying to help you, that you are tracking your inputs, because otherwise you come in and you're frustrated that you're not seeing the results that you're hoping for, I have no way of knowing, is it because the intervention is truly not working and we need to adjust? Is it that the intervention is too hard to stick to for whatever reason and we need to change our approach or, change something else to make it more doable? Or is it something else? You know what I mean? Like it could be such a variety of things, but it's impossible for me to know how to adjust course unless I know whether or not we're actually doing the things or not. Yeah. So
I love that. And those are some of the things that dietitians get to do in the weeds. We get to help people navigate how, which means a lot of times we're prescribing some sort of awareness campaign that's more targeted to the stage they're in and what they need to learn. And sometimes that is a psychological self-reflection. Sometimes that is an awareness of timing and patterning. Sometimes it's an awareness of consistency. One of my favorites is the person that's like, yeah, I eat the same thing every day. And it's like 7 days a week. Really? I call bullshit. Like that
unless
shows,
you're Rob Marty. Shout
out to our COO Rob, who actually does. But it is to say that most people that is not true for, and that's also not a bad thing. But we can hear where there's a misalignment of their reality that is preventing them from progressing. Yes. So it's after I wrote food down for a week, I realized like I eat more like 2 meals on the weekends. It's more of like a brunch and dinner. And then I eat my like breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner during the week. But then on Thursdays, I have this, this, and this. And so it tends to be this. And it's cool. So you have a bunch of days that are fairly consistent. Then you have weekends that are clustered and a bit unique. And then you have an exception day that is its own thing. None of those things are wrong. The goal isn't to make them all uniform and look the same. The goal is to understand that that is your pattern variance and then lean into that variance. Yeah. And so it's awareness. It's what you do with it, right? Are we coming from a place of curiosity? Are we using it to troubleshoot and optimize? Are we using it to identify things that we didn't realize, finding those aha moments? Yeah. It's one of my favorite things to do with people. But ultimately, it all comes back to the idea that if you spent more time weighing your inputs than your outcomes, you would be a happier human. You would be a more self-directed human. You would be much clearer in who you are, what you're doing, and where you're going. And you're going to be a more effective and eventually successful human. And I'm talking about nutrition, but this also isn't just about nutrition.
There's a quote in the Bhagavad Gita that I always reference with my clients, and it's a summary. I'm summarizing it, but the nature of it is like you're entitled to the inputs, but not to the outcomes. And I love that because that's a hard pill to swallow because we're doing the thing for the outcome. So what do you mean I can't look at the outcomes? Or what do you mean I'm not entitled to it? I'm putting in all this work, but it's so true. Like it's even again in business, it might be like a variable return. It's not like, oh my gosh, you can guarantee if you do this, you'll get Y, right? You know this better than anyone else.
Oh my gosh, this year Case is going to have payroll north of 2 million. So like that money's coming out of my account no matter what I do. Does that guarantee me to have a house and a boat and a Maserati? Hell no. Just as likely I go bankrupt, to be honest. What's the factor or variable in that thing? Me and the team that I bring on. Right? So like you said, it's what's funny though is when you think about, there's 2 ways you can think about what you just said. You have control over the inputs, but not the outcome. Will drive a lot of people to say, why bother? And my question would be, why not? What's the alternative? Yeah. Right? To not try is to literally sit on the bench and guarantee the failure. To try is literally the only option. And guess what? It's the only option that gives you the variable of you. And personally, maybe I'm a bit confident in self. If I'm on the team, I think that team has a better chance of winning at whatever it is. And it's because I'm passionate as hell. I'm gritty. I'm going to get after it. So it becomes that game of, I'm going to try really hard. Is it possible that I'm going to fail? You bet your ass. I failed plenty in my life. Guess what all those were? They weren't losses. They were lessons. I'm better now because of them in literally every way. And guess who's now wiser and better? The team we currently have. Yeah. I didn't hire everybody perfectly right out of the gates. I didn't lead anywhere. I didn't even lead initially when I hired, right? Like all of the things we've been doing over this last 10 years has been a game of why not? And I think that that's something that we should all be applying to our self and health, which is if you're somebody out there listening, we'll translate this back to nutrition. I'm only going to do these things. I'm only going to take care of my body, nourish myself, prioritize my self-care, move my body, challenge my physiology if I get a specific outcome of the scale going down in an organized fashion at a certain cadence over time. If that is your non-negotiable contract, you're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
You have to come to terms with the fact that you need to be willing to do everything you just said, regardless of outcome, because what you just said is worth doing, period. Me helping people is my vision. I'm on an impact mission, right? The reason that Case is growing, the reason that I'm trying to get better at hiring, the reason I'm trying to become a better leader, the reason I'm encouraging you and our team to do things like build platforms like this so we can take a swing. That is all rooted in the fact that I want to make a difference. And so I'm either going to try and make a difference and do so, try and make a difference and make some difference, but not enough to sustain, or I'm not going to try at all and not going to make a difference. And so you start to realize like the effort is the win. Like the journey is what it's all about. If you prioritize self-care, you will be a healthier, happier person.
Yeah.
There will be a dozen different ways to measure that and see that. So I guarantee there will be outcomes, but it may not be the outcome that you specifically wanted and manifested. And there's acceptance
on your
there.
timeline, right? That lack of certainty is really hard for people.
Yeah.
That's what makes our job kind of hard sometimes.
Yeah. No, it's convincing people that the inputs are worth it regardless, and that even though outcomes aren't guaranteed doesn't mean the inputs aren't worth it. And that is a hard thing to reconcile until you really think through it and go, what's the alternative? Well, like you can either try and maybe get it or not try and definitely not get it.
Yeah. My most successful clients, they may come in for something like weight loss, let's say, but a year or so into working together, they don't really care about the scale at all, but they are definitely healthier and happier.
Exactly. And that is a cool thing to emphasize, because that's what I always talk about with our team is a lot of people will come in with the goal of weight loss, and the goal of weight loss is a poorly translated thing to I want to be healthier, happier, and prouder of me. Typically, like if we're going to really try and like, what's the thing behind the thing? So I say that they want to climb this mountain of weight loss, but what we know is when they get to the top of that mountain, there's more mountains, and they're bigger and they're better and they have prettier views, which means they're going to want to climb those too. And so the people come in initially with the weight loss. They then realize that there's more to this story than just number go down, me equals me good, right? Like that transaction ain't it. And so then we work with them on unpacking all the nuances that go into that input outcome. And then to your point, over time, the outcome becomes clearer and it changes and it evolves. It becomes stronger. It becomes, more tied to self, becomes more reflective of who they are and what they're about. And oh my gosh, is that a powerful statement? So it's like, hey, if you commit to this, I guarantee there will be outcomes and I guarantee they will be worth it.
Wow.
Here's a fun thing to think about. I'll go back to a business example just because it's more relevant. I go bankrupt next year.
Please no.
Probably not. Yeah, right. Hypothetical. Big hypothetical. Was the 12 years worth it?
Absolutely.
Not even a question, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not even a question. Was it a complete waste of my time? No.
If you were defining it only on the success of this one specific endeavor, then
if that's no different than saying the scale is the only thing that will tell me whether I did good or not. Especially, it's so funny when you get the people that are like, I've been lifting really heavy and getting super strong in the gym, and I've been eating more protein to prioritize my recovery, and I'm sleeping better and I'm hydrating better, and my back pain's gone away. I move so much better. I'm playing with my kids and chasing them around, but the scale hasn't changed. So I'm going to stop doing all of that. It's like, what did you just say? Did you just say
get out
10? Yeah, exactly. Go think about what you just said, but actually do that in this office, because this is where we're supposed to be talking about that. But it's like, that's actually what happens. Is you cite 10 reasons why this is super worth doing, and they're the actual reasons to do it. And then because the one initial reason isn't quite landing or meeting your expectations, you give up on the whole thing. And again, what I just said about the bankruptcy is a very polarizing example, but sometimes we need to live in the extremes to understand that the consequence of not trying is the only consequence. Yeah. There is no consequence of trying. Like, you will get positive outcomes. They may not be to the degree of delusional excitement and optimism you had, but you will have good outcomes. And that's where the most extreme example I can give is I'm homeless and under a bridge in a year. Am I a better person for the journey? And the answer is unequivocally yes. I have tools in my toolbox. That means give me 6 months and that bridge, it's gonna be some really cool boxes.
You're going to own the bridge.
I'm going to own the bridge. I'm going to be the toll booth troll. Anyway, we digress. But yes,
I love that.
I love inputs over outcomes in every way. But anybody listening that we can take this to the nutrition front, make sure you're weighing your habits more than yourself, because the moment you're weighing yourself and it's not doing what you think it's supposed to do, we need to better understand that so we can decide if it actually warrants habit intervention or if it's just your misunderstanding of the tool you're using, aka the scale in this case. Let's get back to the habits, because that's the answer. It's always the answer.
Yeah, non-scale wins.